understands lying to protect your family. Stakes are high when it's your precious cargo involved in an accident. Let Allen Law Firm fight for you so you can get back to your own precious moments.
You wasn't down that bitch till I found that shit a couple days ago. I was home alone. Next thing I know, that long ass verse from the song on Control was on.
In the verse, J. Cole paints the picture of a girl playing the Control verse that he was close with. This is likely in reference to the big splash that the verse made, given the fact that the whole world talked about it at the time.
That's when I see the shit playing on your phone. Girl, what is that, a ringtone? Shit got you too. Man, I hate them, got you too.
Cole then has a conversation with the girl, alluding to how the hype sucked her in. People like Drake would make similar remarks about the verse, saying that it was just for shock value and that it would be forgettable.
Everybody in their mama gas, even my mama asked what I'm gonna do.
Again, Cole makes mention to how everyone gassed up the Control verse and makes it known that people that he was close with questioned him on how he would respond to it.
Decisions. In case this is warning, I load up on all ammunition.
Again, Cole echoes a similar response to Drake, where Drake said that if it's really beef, then let it be real.
So it's like, was that real or was that just like for the people? You know what I mean?
I think it's a sparring kind of sport.
Yeah, but
You're not
at the
into
same
that.
time, it's like, then let it be real then, I mean, because those were harsh words.
If a nigga want violence, my triggers on auto, I'll make sure that nobody misses.
So Cole is really letting Kendrick know that if he wants to make this thing real, if he wants to take it there, that he's ready for war. The last line where he states that he's going to make sure that nobody misses him appears to be a direct response to Kendrick's verse when he said this.
I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you niggas. Trying to make sure your core fans never heard of you niggas. They don't want to end up one more now, no further from you niggas.
So J. Cole is saying, I can make you disappear. It's critical to note that when the Control verse dropped, Cole felt obligated to reach out to Kendrick directly to try to make sense of what it was all about.
I had to have a conversation with him. So I just had to find out for myself, like, yo, what, you came at me, dog? What's that?
And Kendrick did explain on many occasions that his relationship with J. Cole did not change as a result of that verse.
Specifically, where are you at, like, with the J. Cole? Specifically, where are you at with a Drake or so on and so forth?
I respect their music, for sure. I respect them as individuals and creators.
And Kendrick seemingly wasn't lying, as some months after the Control verse, P. Diddy allegedly tried to pour a drink on Kendrick at a party. Diddy was in a drunken state and was pissed off about Kendrick's King of New York line, and J. Cole defended him. It was Cole's intervention that led to the infamous scuffle between himself and Diddy. I mean, anyone out here getting in a fight with J. Cole, of all people, you're clearly just a massive piece of shit. Let's just call it for what it is.
That verse even led to the fight with Puff and Cole.
J. Cole would mention the fight years later on a track called Let Go of My Hand.
My last scrap was with Puff Daddy. Who would have thought it?
As far as award shows for the year, Kendrick cleaned up with BET, winning Lyricist of the Year, MVP of the Year, and Album of the Year, all over J. Cole. Kendrick also clinched the #1 spot for MTV's Hottest MC, and J. Cole didn't even make the list.
With MTV, man, because you did not make the freshman. Or not the freshman list, but the hottest MC.
Right.
Yo, good morning. Hope you have a good day.
This dude got a gold album. Like, what do you...
Hope you have a great day.
You gotta kind of be like, come on, son, like, word.
Yeah, it was. It just let me know, like, what that whole thing was.
And I normally take these lists with a huge grain of salt, but I do think it's important to highlight just how many times Kendrick has won over J. Cole, because I feel like that feeds into the chip that's on J. Cole's shoulder in recent years. To further confirm that the two were still on good terms, they celebrated Cole's birthday in New York together, and some months later, J. Cole brought Kendrick on stage while he was on tour in LA. However, it was in that same year that J. Cole would release what many people would consider to be his classic album, and on that project, he had a few little jabs for Kendrick.
I don't play no games, boy, I ain't no joke. Like the great Rakim, when I make my notes.
So it's kind of similar to Kendrick's Control verse, where Cole is paying homage to a bunch of legends, and he's putting himself in the mix.
Or you might be Drizzy Drake or Kendrick Lamar. Check the birth date, nigga. You ain't the guy. Cole the guy.
This line acts as a double entendre, where one, Cole inserts himself as being above both Kendrick and Drake. 2, Rakim commonly goes by the God MC, and Cole just so happens to share the same birthday, January 28th. So at this point, it's just all friendly competition in the spirit of hip hop, but it was the Control verse that triggered this type of competition. J. Cole would also make it very clear on his track Fire Squad of where he felt he was at in the rap game.
Ain't no way around it no more. I am the greatest. Lot of niggas set on the throne. I am the latest.
Cole also makes it known that he's not afraid of anyone.
I ain't afraid of you niggas. I ain't afraid of you niggas.
At the end of the record, J. Cole brings up the debate of who's really the king and claims that the crown is his for the taking.
While people debate who's the king of this rap game, here comes Lil old Jermaine to snatch the crown from whoever y'all think has it.
But that would not be all, as J. Cole had another subliminal for Kendrick on GOMD. I mean, if we're talking about the West Coast in 2014, I don't know who else he would be talking to other than Kendrick. However, it was in this year that Kendrick would win BET Lyricist of the Year again over J. Cole, and everyone remembers the infamous Macklemore Grammy snub.
Macklemore, Ryan Lewis.
With all that said, as we head into 2015, talks about this joint Kendrick and Cole project are still very much alive.
Is there going to be a Kendrick Lamar J. Cole album?
Yeah, definitely. I still would love to do it for sure. I talked to the bro. I don't know, probably a little bit over a month. And he's on a tour rocking, so we're trying to make something happen.
However, the closest thing we would get to a joint album would be on November 15th, when both Cole and Kendrick released a song each, titled Black Friday, where they're both going in on each other's beats.
Wish myself with the wish on my plate isn't me no miss. I paid a meal for performance. The flow dip different chicks. Let my freaks now hold keep me fish and chips.
Now, the feedback that we got from those records was pretty well unanimous. Kendrick going so hard I forgot Cole was on it. Sheesh. Kendrick was the destruction, J. Cole was in recovery. Kendrick was rapping like his life was on the line in this one. And I can't disagree, he really was rapping like his life was on the line and making a statement. And I personally believe that it's the element of competition further enforced by both the fans and the media that would eventually come between these two artists. As we close out the year, J. Cole would reach BET's Album of the Year. However, Kendrick was Album of the Year at the Grammys. I mean, they're both phenomenal projects. One got a Grammy, one got a BET
What's
award.
the move this morning?
I'm happy with it. They both deserve
Let me
it.
know.
And even in 2016, 2017, talks of this joint project is still going. There is a Kendrick Cole out.
There's a Kendrick, they got it. They got something to work with.
And to make the fans go even crazier with anticipation, people got even more excited when Kendrick brought out J. Cole in Detroit. And just a few weeks later, TDE Punch would share a tweet saying, "I was just playing about that Dot and Cole joint. It's coming for sure, maybe. I don't know, it might happen. Probably. Actually, hit them." This joint album got teased for years and years and years. But the fans still kept up hope, as at the end of 2017, the Snowman himself was able to secure a feature from both J. Cole and Kendrick for his track American Dream.
You know, put it on play. I'm running the game, you're running the place.
I own what is known to the traveling man.
However, Jeezy approached this record a little bit sneaky, as he didn't tell Kendrick or Cole that they would both be on the same song together.
Did he know Kendrick was going to be on it too?
Nah. So when they heard the finished product, you know, everybody kind of knew everybody was on the record.
And it really makes sense because J. Cole is really rapping on his verse, yet Kendrick took this very melodic approach and isn't really rapping at all. I feel like if Kendrick heard Cole's verse or even knew Cole would be on the record, he might have decided to really rap instead, or maybe it wouldn't have changed anything, as the theme of this record may not have called for that level of competing.
Did you know TurboTax now offers a lifetime guarantee when you file your taxes?
As we close out 2017-2018, Kendrick had a hell of a year in the awards category, winning BET's Album of the Year and Lyricist of the Year over J. Cole. Kendrick would also win several Grammys, but most noteworthy, Rap Album of the Year, and we can't forget that he was the first hip-hop artist ever to win a Pulitzer Prize.
Awarded to Damn by Kendrick Lamar.
And now we get a line from J. Cole where he voices his opinions about the Grammys.
The streets don't give a fuck about the Grammys.
At the time, Cole had 7 Grammy nominations with 0 wins. And then we got Kendrick cleaning up. He had like 12 Grammys to his name. You can take this line however you want. And it will be at this point where J. Cole finally shuts down the idea of a joint project and basically says that it's not gonna happen.
But that's not a real thing. That's like some fantasy thing.
It's not. It didn't come from nowhere. It came from us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's not like it's something that's actively happening.
And as time goes on, we get nothing but non-stop comparisons and questions of who's the better rapper. Who's the better storyteller, J. Cole or Kendrick? Greatest rapper of this generation, J. Cole or Kendrick? Who's the better rapper, J. Cole or Kendrick? And at the time, the overwhelming majority would say that Kendrick was the better rapper. However, outside of a Black Panther soundtrack and a few features, Kendrick is very much absent between the years of 2018 and 2021. And while Kendrick has his feet up, we see this epic shift in J. Cole, where he begins to reshape the narrative of who's the best.
Niggas been counting me up, I'm counting my bullets, I'm loading my clips. I'm stranger to the blood smoke, gun smoke. You niggas don't want smoke, no guts like that, switch it, we just smoke. Okay, no problem, I show up on everyone album, you know what the outcome will be. From this day forward, I move with a new ferocity.
Yeah, I look dope, no nigga don't at me. Put on your coat, don't wanna get colder. This is my year, don't say I ain't frozen.
Something changes with J. Cole. 12 features in 2018 and 16 features in 2019, and he pretty much smoked them all. Now, the very last time these two will be heard on the same record was on Dreamville's Under the Sun, where Kendrick had an uncredited hook. And even in 2020, fans are still talking about this Kendrick and Cole project, and this time, TDE Punch totally shuts it down. One fan posted, "I want Lamar on an EP with Cole." Punch responded, "That's never going to happen." Another fan then asked if they were maybe planning something bigger than an EP, to which Punch responded, "0 tracks, not happening." So what was once a maybe is now just a very stern no. However, it would appear that even after all the work J. Cole put in, it still wasn't enough, as he was still being cast aside when compared to Kendrick and Drake.
Cole got rings, but I mean,
Cole is the greatest. He's one of the greatest.
I don't put him on the level of Drake and Kendrick.
Being as competitive as he is, I feel like these opinions begin to bother J. Cole, and it helps to mold the hungry artist that we've seen in recent years. It's around this time where I feel J. Cole asked himself a few questions like, how do I want to be remembered? How do I want to close out my legacy? And do I really want to finish this thing off with a bronze medal?
I had to make a real decision. Like, have you wrote your best song? Did you leave no stone unturned creatively? And when I thought about that feeling, I was like, nah, I'm not cool with that.
And in my opinion, he made his choice, and this is where things start to get interesting. Fans started to speculate that J. Cole took subliminal shots at Kendrick on his album The Off Season.
Big step, but nigga don't get stepped on.
Now, there were countless posts on Reddit and people on YouTube who really felt like the words "Big Stepper Don't Get Stepped On" was a direct reference to Kendrick's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. However, Cole's track came out 11 months before Kendrick's album title was even announced. So unless J. Cole had some inside information about the album title, I'm not sure how this theory holds much weight. I mean, you guys can tell me what you think. I'm all for speculating, but to me, it really gotta make sense. In 2021, J. Cole would address his position of being in third place on a track titled Heaven's EP.
Some people say that I'm running third. They threw the bronze at me. Behind Drake and Dot, yeah, them niggas is superstars to me.
So J. Cole acknowledges that many people consider him as being number 3, but instead of tearing a strip off Kendrick or Drake, he tips his hat to them, complimenting their place in hip-hop.
The tale's official. The best nigga breathing it just failed to hit you. You couldn't tell cause you fell for the bells and whistles.
However, Cole makes it clear that the fans got his ranking fucked up and calls himself the hardest in the game. He goes on to explain that the people fell for the bells and whistles. This could be alluding to the many times that he got snubbed during awards, or the fact that he's been known to do very little promo when it comes to rolling out his albums. There's just nothing flashy about J. Cole. He just looks like a normal fucking dude. And very seldom is he in the media, unless it's for his music.
Too much hunger, it's no wonder these niggas can't keep up. So saying yes to a feature just means I'm about to eat lunch, bitch.
In the first line, Cole references just how hungry he's become for that #1 spot. And in the second line, he alludes to the fact that every feature he does, he wraps circles around the artist requesting it.
It's been exactly 1,746 days since the last time Kendrick Lamar dropped an album.
1,855 days. I've been going through something.
After a 5-year hiatus, on May 13th, 2022, Kendrick released Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. The album received mixed reviews, but in my opinion, was his most personal and introspective album to date. I even got a t-shirt with the album. That's what I'm going to the album. Again, fans speculated that Kendrick was throwing shade at J. Cole on his track Count Me Out. Many people seem to believe that because J. Cole's upcoming project is called The Fall Off, that this could have been a very direct shot. And initially I didn't think this was a shot at J. Cole, but J. Cole appears to respond directly to this a little bit later down the line. With that said, J. Cole would appear to take more shots at Kendrick on Johnny P's Caddy with Benny the Butcher. When the track initially came out, some speculated that Cole was actually dissing Benny on his own record, but even Benny said that he felt Cole was dissing someone else.
If you ask me, he was talking to somebody.
Yeah.
So the guys who everybody compared him with and put him in the ring with, like, to me, that's what he was.
I'm probably gonna go to hell if Jesus asked for a feature.
In the first line, Cole makes it clear that he's bodying anyone on a feature and even claims that Jesus himself would take a loss. One person that's imitated Jesus in the past would be none other than Kendrick Lamar.
Some see a glass is empty, I see a glass full of ether, collecting his bread and mash like he a Catholic preacher.
This line appears to be a reference to Kendrick's music video for Humble, where Kendrick is dressed up as a Catholic preacher, and you can see the empty glass and bread sitting on the table. Cole makes it clear that he sees a glass full of ether, which could be a reference to Nas's infamous diss to Jay-Z.
Oh God, the best rapper alive, headshot.
J. Cole ends off the verse to state that he's the best rapper alive.
I'm the best rapper alive. I'm the best rapper alive. I'm the best rapper alive. I am the greatest rapper alive. Now go and ask the best rappers that died. They tell you he never lied. So damn great, motherfucker, I've died.
And I gotta agree with Benny. I do think he is talking to someone, and that someone, I feel like, is Kendrick Lamar. However, in my view, one of the most obvious and direct shots to date would come on J. Cole's track, The Secret Recipe.
In the quest to find the ideal gaming system, AMD is redefining gaming PCs, unleashing new...
Niggas fake progressive and woke. I started saying less. I had to stop it. Peeped how they profit off of racial stress.
It's no secret that the themes within Kendrick's music often reflects on racial tension and the struggle that comes with it. Drake more or less labeled Kendrick as a grifter in the past, and I feel like J. Cole is taking a similar stance.
Studio steppers moving extra on songs fake and rap.
The first line appears to be a reference to Kendrick's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, where Cole calls him out for faking the funk when it comes to the message in his music.
Niggas making threats and I laugh. That's cause you ain't a threat. Don't ask how I feel about the rappers. Shit, they okay, I guess.
So again, J. Cole is not looking at any of these other rappers as a threat. But most importantly, he doesn't look at Kendrick as a threat.
Smoking on your top 5 tonight.
And now for the most damning piece of all, first-person shooter.
A lot of niggas debating my numero, not the 3, not the 2, on the urinal.
So right off rip, J. Cole makes it clear on Drake's own record that he's number one.
Numero urinal, me and Drizzy, this shit like a Super Bowl.
Now, when J. Cole refers to himself and Drake as being the Super Bowl, what two teams make it to the Super Bowl? The two best teams. By inserting himself and Drake as being the best, J. Cole is essentially omitting Kendrick from the equation entirely.
Like a kid that had bad from January to November, nigga, it's just doing cold.
Again, Drake supports Cole's previous Super Bowl analogy by sticking entirely.
Like a kid that had bad from January to...
Himself and Drake as being the best, J. Cole is essentially omitting Kendrick from the equation entirely.
Like a kid that had bad from January to November, nigga, it's just doing cold.
Again, Drake supports Cole's previous Super Bowl analogy by stating that it's just him and Cole in the running.
I'm naming the album Fall Off, it's pretty ironic, they said they don't fall off for me.
And now we get back to Kendrick's line on Count Me Out, with his reference, nobody but the mirror looking for the fall off, and Cole makes it clear that there's no falling off for him. Okay, so he mentions Kendrick and Drake, but... So this is very much a backhanded compliment. He calls himself Muhammad Ali. Now, who's Muhammad Ali? Just think about that. Again, as they continue to remove Kendrick from the equation, they need to be prepared for what's to come. And I can almost guarantee that Kendrick will have some form of response to this record. Guaranteed.
Everybody steppers were fucking and everybody breakfast and I'm about to clear out my plate.
I mean, at this point, I don't think J. Cole can make it any more obvious who he's talking about. When it comes to his collaboration records with Drake, there's an ongoing theme in their music that people seem to overlook, and their track Evil Ways is another example of just that.
I up in arenas where they see they faves, aka me and Drizzy Drake, we the wave.
Again, Cole is positioning himself and Drake as being the top two. So if you're Kendrick Lamar, how are you to perceive this? When two of the artists that you've been up against since the beginning of your career are making these style of records. Then when we look at the reality of the situation, which is the fact that Kendrick does not like Drake, how do you expect him to respond? Like I said, I mean, I'll put my entire fucking YouTube channel on the line. Like, Kendrick will have a response to these records.
I stay out of beef, see niggas DNA get rearranged.
J. Cole continues to bait Kendrick with the line, see dude's DNA get rearranged, which would be a reference to Kendrick's track DNA. We can't continue to just ignore this like it's not happening. I mean, there is many signs. However, J. Cole wasn't done and even had more subliminals for Kendrick on his recent release, Might Delete Later.
Niggas swear they compare, but the truth humble. They get fuck 112, he couldn't do numbers.
In the first line, Cole references how he's often compared with someone, and that someone would evidently be Kendrick, with the use of the word humble.
Oh, bitch, be humble. Sit down.
In the second line, Cole says you couldn't do numbers, which is in reference to Kendrick's last project, where many considered it to be a flop, given the fact that it was his lowest selling album in the last 10 years.
I'm the one that niggas fear on the low speed.
In the first line, J. Cole makes it clear that certain rappers are afraid of him on the low. This ties perfectly into what Joe Budden said about Kendrick.
Because of all your love, I'm gonna react to rappers